Hello, everybody. This is going to be a little bit different of a project than the normal pottery things. But basically, I've been thinking for a while. In my home, I need some lighting, and rather than just go out and buy stuff, I mean, there's plenty of cool lamps and stuff like that out there. But I figured maybe it's time to take on another little rehab project. So I was just going to show you guys what I'm going to work on here. I found this lamp. My neighbor was actually throwing it away. It obviously has seen better days, and just figured, you know what? It ain't going to cost me nothing. Maybe I can make something cool out of it. I've had some ideas for a while about maybe kind of a neat way to do a lampshade. That I could either make, I have a lot of like fallen tree twigs and stuff like that in my backyard. As I've been mowing, I've been kind of picking them up for honestly, like, months now. Matter of fact, I'll show it to you. And I really don't have anything to do with it. I don't really burn leaves and twigs and stuff like that. So my neighbor has this big tree here, and we've been having some windstorms, so a lot of the tree twigs and stuff like that have been falling out. So I've just been kind of accumulating this pile of sticks for a while. I'm thinking, I mean, I suppose I could burn it in the barbecue grill, and I did that once with some steaks, and it actually made some pretty tasty, smoky steak. But I was thinking that possibly I could do maybe kind of an artistic design, either just having all the sticks pointing maybe, if I could take this lampshade and cut all it away, I could have maybe all the sticks pointing down across this wire frame, or maybe I could even, I don't know how easy it would be to actually weave them together around in a circumference, but it might make a kind of a neat lampshade. So I said, hey, well, they're throwing this away. It's pretty much useless now anyway. Maybe I can do something cool with it. I mean, the lamp itself is kind of like, hey, what could I do with that? I mean, obviously, it's pretty rusty, and this type of, I don't believe that this is any kind of real, it's pretty just coated metal is what I think it is. So, yeah, I could probably scrape the rust and stuff off it, but honestly, it would probably need some sort of a paint applied to the base and to this part. And then it's got this kind of wood that's been put together, which it's an old kind of antique looking thing. But again, it still works, so why throw it away? So I'm thinking maybe I will take the metal pieces and respray them, maybe try to grind some of the rust off and respray them with some sort of a spray. And then I'm thinking about whether I want to actually just sand this wood down. Do I want to cut it into a different shape to make it look cool? I mean, I haven't really decided. Maybe cutting it in more straight lines, like making it more angled, would make it look a little more modern. I don't know. So stay tuned. Not really sure exactly how it's going to turn out, but we'll see. All right, talk to you soon. Oh dear, what have I done? Well, so yeah, basically was able to take everything apart. In order to get the lamp apart, I actually ended up snipping the cord. This looks like it's some sort of a like prefabricated. I probably can pry this apart and unwire. I am an electrician by trade, so it's not really a big thing to wire up something, but the terminals are probably in here somewhere. And it looks like everything was pretty much mounted on this rod right here, and I mean, it's just a dozen little components just arranged in different, in a different order. So maybe I'll end up switching around the order, or maybe even omitting a few pieces, or change things up to just try to give the lamp a different look. I did go ahead and take the lampshade apart, and so this is basically all that's left from the lampshade. And the good thing is it's made out of some sort of metal that didn't seem to rust, so it's actually in really good condition. But yeah, it was just the stiffness of those louvered or pleated material that was basically giving it its shape and its strength. There was nothing metal holding the top to the bottom, which is kind of neat too. Meaning I could make the lampshade even longer if I wanted to, or I could make it narrower. So it really just depends. I'm going to play around with some different designs and see what I find what I like. But I do intend on just using the old frame and holding it together. I said using just the wood. I'll have to figure out some way to tie the wood to the frame of this. But yeah, it should be pretty neat. We'll see how it turns out. And like I said, I'll bring you in the different stages so you can see how it's progressing. So I've been working a little bit on this lamp. As you can see, it looks a little bit different. This isn't really the finished configuration necessarily of the lamp. I'm just trying different things to see what I can do to kind of maybe just change up the look of it. Again, this isn't like supposed to, in the end, necessarily be like, oh my goodness, the greatest lamp ever. But it's just, you know, I'm trying to see if I can change the look of the lamp into maybe something a little bit more modern. And just make it something that would be more attractive to have around the house. One of the things that I'm kind of experimenting with, as you can see here, I've actually kind of shaped, as a matter of fact, I'll take this apart so you can see. I've changed the shape of the wood that was on the lamp. Originally, it was a much more rounded out shape, and I was thinking to try to make it maybe look a little bit more modern. Maybe it would be good to try to change the look of this piece of wood. Again, I could be totally wrong in this, but my thought is to try to modernize the piece a little bit more. Before, it had a lot of these big flowing lines that were made the lamp base look very bulky. And to try to maybe modernize it, my thought is to try to make things look a little bit more streamlined and slender. So how can I do that? Well, again, took that big bulbous piece of wood and tried to give it some clean lines, clean angle. Haven't really decided yet whether I'm just going to take this piece of wood, put it in like this, put it in like this, or maybe even shape it some more. But I definitely will sand this piece down because it's just rough sawn. What I did is I have a miter, a compound miter saw that I've used to do like trim work before. You can see here's all my little offcuts where I've cut all the pieces of the wood off of it. So I just basically took it and I just kind of picked several different angles and just did the same cut all the way around to make this a little more slender. So I'll definitely will sand this down. I don't know if I will stain it, leave it natural wood, paint it. I really have not decided what will be the best. I do kind of like the idea of showing some natural wood. This isn't the most beautiful. You can see like there are definitely like, you can see some laminated color differences. So I don't know how well that would look. I definitely don't think I'm going to go back to like a dark stain like this. I'll either paint it or I'll leave it a natural color. It's a little discolored from the saw blade. It definitely was putting out a lot of smoke, and that's where a lot of these different colors are. So once I sand this down, a lot of that's going to disappear. It'll go back to just the more tan color. But I don't know if I'll try to bring out the wood grain at all or even paint it. I'm not sure. But anyway, going back to the base, I said there was a lot of, let me mount the camera here so I can have both hands free to talk to you. Okay. A lot of the shapes are made out of these little tin pieces. And so you'll have pieces, like I think originally probably this tin piece sat on top there like that. Kind of makes it look to me like a street lantern to me. I don't know if I like that, but so they took a lot of these too, and they would even like put them together and make shapes like that, or shapes like that, which again to me gives it a much more antique, old look. And I'm trying to do something maybe with a twig braided lampshade that looks a little bit more on maybe the modern side. natural yet modern. So I don't think there's too much I can do with the base itself, unfortunately, unless I was just to scrap this all together. Obviously, I will sand this down and paint it, but I might be kind of stuck with, just the base looking as it does. But one of the ideas that I was playing around with, let's see if I can bring the camera down a little bit. So one of the things that I've been playing with, though, is how do I make these kind of bulbous shapes kind of disappear or look more slender. So, and I'm not saying this is the final look of it, but so I'm thinking, maybe something like that, or even I could even, let's say, put it down like that. Make it stand up. And I could even turn out a couple more pieces of pipe or something like that for spacers if I need to. I'm sure there's some scrap or something like that around. But anyway, so my thought is to try to make some of it kind of disappear but still use the pieces, is instead of having things like that, right, I could actually maybe sort of invert pieces like so. Let's just slide them on there, see how it looks. So that it kind of makes the pieces look a little more, let's see if I can bring in a little bit more. Maybe it makes it look a little more slender, or not quite so big and bulky, to still highlight the rings and stuff like that without having these big, huge pieces. I don't know. Again, I'll play around with it and try to come up with the most aesthetically pleasing. Or I said I may scrap a lot of this stuff and just end up doing something real minimalist. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, I still don't quite like that. But just maybe just doing something real minimalist like that. The only thing is the way that this lamp was constructed was that basically all the pieces kind of sat one against another to build up all this different type of height. And then basically there's only a place to attach it all with the screw threads here on this side of the pipe and the screw threads on the bottom here. So basically everything was just kind of clamped together in one big sandwich. So if I was going to try to make this more, slender and just use maybe just the rod as the base, or as the stem, and maybe a piece or two like that, or like that, I would have to find some way to then affix the piece of wood to the rod somewhere in the middle. So I'd either have to glue it, epoxy it. I'd have to find some way to allow different components to sit along this smooth shaft. So those are some problems that I still have to work out. But again, I'll bring you back in and we'll look further. And so here is pretty much the final version of the lamp that I repaired. So we just had, the wood that we shaped down, took all the pieces of the body of the lamp apart and sprayed them kind of a metallic, I don't know if you can see it, kind of a metallic blue. Probably could have done with another coat, but I ran out of paint in the can. And then I just basically took a lot of the sticks in the back. And it's a little oversized, but I took the sticks in the back and I wove them into a lampshade. And so you do see the light bulb coming through, but at the same time, it does definitely mute down the amount of light that comes out and kind of softens the light, so it's just not so glaring. But yep, that's pretty much how she turned out. I actually ended up removing, there was a kind of a chunkier piece of metal that was here, and just the way that it was cut made it look really, really old. So I didn't really care for that too much. So actually, I needed a spacer because there's a threaded rod that runs from where the fixture is all the way down through the base. And so because I still needed something for that length, I actually took an old socket that I had. It was just big enough to accept the bearing and then use it as a spacer. So I gave it a little bit of a chrome little bling. But anyway, so that's, I'm probably going to trim off some of these sticks. I just finished weaving it. But yeah, it came out pretty good. So anyway, hope you found that interesting. And until I see you next time, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. I'll talk to you later.